What's up, curiosities? This is Chris McClanahan, and this is Midnight Cryptid. Tonight we're taking a look at a few mysterious photos and the story behind them. Are they real? Let's find out. Lock your doors, shutter your windows. It's 23 seconds till midnight. So, I have a particularly skeptical mind when it comes to mysterious photos, both vintage and new. Fakery is super rampant, as is the want to see something that isn't there. But every once in a while, I come across something that's either cool enough for me to play along with the story, or enigmatic enough that I get sucked in. These photos tonight are kind of a mixed bag of both. Are they real? Well, they're all real photos. Whether they portray what they claim is another matter entirely. Photo number 1. Ghostly Field Child. This photo was taken from a trail cam in December of 2011. Reddit user MCCO883 shared it, along with the story that he discovered it amidst a collection of hundreds of otherwise unremarkable frames on one of his father's trail cams. It seems to show a small child's face on the screen, blurry and distorted. He insists that his father isn't superstitious, nor the type to play pranks like this. But why would there be a child in the field in December, in the middle of the night, photobombing a trail cam? Maybe it isn't a boy at all. We have a lot of these here in Idaho. They're motion sensor activated and fairly basic. They're weatherproof, critter resistant. They usually come in some sort of camo paint job, just in case the animal you're tracking is spooked by the paparazzi or something. They're good at sensing movement and catching stills of said movement. They also usually have a small red light on the front just below the lens. We have a few security cameras around our property here that work on the same principle. And despite the subtlety of that light, one thing my security cameras do attract is moths, especially based on the fact that there were a number of ghost and animal-free frames on either side, is that they had a few nocturnal insects visiting, not the ghost of an annoying little field boy. Photo number 2. Back in the 1900s, Washington state needed some extra protection. This was before the days of airplanes, when most of the threats worth worrying about were coming from the Pacific and along the Puget Sound, all the way up to Seattle and their civilian ports, and they were left feeling a little vulnerable. So they did what you did back in those days. They used a lot of rock to make big forts, just in case. Fort Warden, along with Forts Casey and Fort Flagler, were the result. Impressively rambling structures, complete with barracks, tunnels, cannons, and support structures. Warden was the largest, with 41 guns spread across 6 batteries. None of the forts saw any action, and slowly fell into disrepair and were largely abandoned. Most eventually turned into parks and attractions, like you do with old forts from back in the day. Warden remains the best preserved of these relics, and to this day you can ramble through the tunnels and overgrown walls and ramparts. Within, you can find a bewildering series of bunkers, trails, useless ladders to nothing, and dank corridors with meaningful spray can words that I can't say on YouTube. There's also something else in Fort Warden. Observe this post from Eel Barrow 8 years ago, where he writes, "I found this years ago while image searching Fort Warden bunkers. Happy that I now have a place to share it. When you see it, my friends." So, I don't know what this is. Is it a dude in a pretty decent mask clambering along the top of the bunkers? Is it some monstrosity in a jumper that lurks in the halls of the old fort? I was immediately struck by its clothes. Why is he dressed normally? Then I thought to myself, if I were a horrible monstrosity, would I dress in rags or go crawling naked across damp Washington granite? Hell no. Monstrous or not, I'd get me a sensible jacket from Goodwill or something. And I guess your job opportunities are pretty limited when you look like your face was compiled from old latex and wet cocoa pebbles. All the same, this photo is spooky and weird, and it delights me. I want to watch horror movies with the Fort Warden creeper. Photo number 3. The Bulgarian Cult Sacrifice. purported to have been taken in 1979 in the Dobrich region of Bulgaria. This photo had a story attached of kidnapping, occult sacrifices, and pagan rituals. After some research, there were indeed multiple pagan and cult-like beliefs practiced in the region, many of which persist to this day. The Kukeri performed traditional rituals while dressed in elaborate costumes, many resembling Krampus or Sasquatch. They often feature carved wooden masks of two-faced animals and large bells to ward off evil spirits. Which doesn't sound that ominous now that I'm done copying Wikipedia. Wait a minute. This seems familiar to me. I feel like I've seen this scene somewhere before.
A few moments later.
Okay, so this is Coven. As to where this still of Coven comes from, that would be the 1999 comedic documentary American Movie, which tells the story of an indie filmmaker in Wisconsin who, after being unable to finance his dream film, turns to a previous short film and struggles to complete it in his quest to continue making movies. I've had this movie on DVD for ages. I bought it when it first came out because I loved it so much. And while I've never been 100% sure if it's a documentary or a mockumentary, I know I really enjoy it and you should check it out. You can stream it for $3 on Vudu. I'm also relatively certain that that scene did not occur in Bulgaria in 1979, but it did remind me of that movie, which I haven't seen in years, and I plan to rewatch tonight, as soon as I find out if Warden is coming over to join me. That was my first spooky video. I know it's a bit different than a lot of them online. For one thing, you see my ugly face instead of just a really quality narration, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit subscribe, ring that bell, and give me a thumbs up. I have more videos, and I promise not all of them are just me taking the piss, but some of them will be. There's just a lot of piss to take. I have jars for it. I'm the Howard Hughes of mysterious videos, only poor. Speaking of which, if you enjoyed the video and want to help support the channel, you can join our Patreon. I'm writing and drawing a geeky magazine called Tabletops and Tentacles over there. It's filled with all sorts of fun, old-school geeky articles, interviews, reviews, board games, film, RPGs. You can get it along with loads of other stuff by joining our Patreon channel. Links in the description or at tabletopsandtentacles.com. Thanks again for watching. There's something behind you.